The coffee cup shattered against the marble floor, sending shards of porcelain and espresso across the pristine white tiles. Sofia Martinez dropped to her knees immediately, her hands shaking as she reached for the broken pieces. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice cracking. Around her, the lunch rush at Aurelio's continued, the clash of silverware and murmur of conversation barely pausing for her mistake. But Sofia felt every eye in the restaurant burning into her back. She'd been working at Aurelio's for 6 weeks, 6 weeks of double shifts and aching feet, 6 weeks of swallowing her pride and smiling through exhaustion, 6 weeks of walking a tightrope between survival and disaster, and now this, a dropped cup. A stupid, careless mistake that might cost her everything. "Martinez." The voice cut through her panic like a blade. Cold, sharp, final. Sofia looked up to see Marcus Delgado, the restaurant manager, standing over her. His expression was carved from stone, his eyes calculating the damage, the disruption, the cost of her incompetence. "My office, now. Please, Mr. Delgado. It was an accident. I'll pay for the cup, I'll clean it up, I'll office. Now." If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. He walked away without waiting for her response. Sofia's hands trembled as she gathered the larger pieces of porcelain, placing them carefully on her tray. Around her, the other servers moved with practiced efficiency, pointedly not looking at her. In the kitchen, she dumped the broken cup into the trash, her mind racing. She couldn't lose this job. Not now. Not when Abuela's medication cost $300 a month. Not when her 8-year-old sister, Luna, needed new school supplies and winter clothes. Not when they were already 2 weeks behind on rent. The back office was tucked behind the kitchen, a small room that smelled like cigarette smoke and desperation. Marcus sat behind his desk, fingers steepled, watching her enter with the expression of a man about to enjoy, delivering bad news. "Close the door." Sofia obeyed, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Mr. Delgado, please, I can explain. You've been here 6 weeks, Martinez. In that time, you've been late 3 times, requested 2 schedule changes, and now you're breaking our china. Do you have any idea how much that cup cost? I'll pay for it. Whatever it costs, $70. The number hit her like a fist. $70. That was groceries for 2 weeks. That was Luna's school lunch money for a month. That was impossible. I can pay in installments. I can work extra shifts. You're already working doubles most days." Marcus leaned back in his chair, lighting a cigarette despite his own no-smoking policy. "Tell me, Sofia, why do you need this job so badly?" The question caught her off guard. In 6 weeks, no one had asked her anything personal. No one had cared. "I have family," she said carefully. "People depending on me. Don't we all?" Marcus exhaled smoke. "The thing is, Martinez, Aurelio's has a reputation to maintain. We serve Chicago's elite. Politicians, businessmen, people who expect perfection. One dropped cup might seem small to you, but to them, it's a sign of slipping standards. It won't happen again, I promise." "You're right. It won't." He stubbed out the cigarette. "Because you're fired." The words landed like a death sentence. Sofia's vision swam, the small office tilting sideways. Please don't fire me, sir. I'll do anything. I'll work for free until I've paid off the cup. I'll take the worst shifts. I'll clean, I'll do prep work, whatever you need. Just please don't." Begging doesn't change the bottom line, Martinez. You're a liability. Sofia's hands clenched into fists at her sides. She thought of Abuela, 72 years old with diabetes and a heart condition, sitting in their tiny apartment waiting for medication Sofia could no longer afford. She thought of Luna, already wearing shoes too, sizes too small because they couldn't afford new ones. She thought of the eviction notice they'd receive in 2 weeks if she didn't make rent. "I have an 8-year-old sister and a grandmother who's sick." The words burst out of her, desperate and raw. "We'll lose our apartment. We'll end up on the street. Please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything." Marcus studied her for a long moment, something unreadable flickering across his face. Then he stood. "Get back to work, Martinez. You've got tables waiting, but this is your last chance. One more mistake, and you're gone. Understood?" Relief flooded through her so intensely she nearly collapsed. Yes, thank you, Mr. Delgado. Thank you so much. I won't let you down, Save it. Get out. Sofia practically ran from the office, her hands still shaking, tears burning behind her eyes that she refused to let fall. She grabbed her order pad and headed back to the dining room, forcing her face into a smile that felt like broken glass. What Sofia didn't know was that the man sitting in booth 7 had watched the entire scene unfold, had seen the coffee cup slip from her trembling hands, had observed her desperate scramble to clean up the mess, had noted the fear in her eyes as Marcus summoned her to the office. Dante Moretti didn't usually involve himself in the daily operations of his businesses. He owned 43 establishments across Chicago, from restaurants to casinos to construction companies. Aurelio's was just one small piece of his empire, a legitimate front that laundered money and hosted meetings for associates who preferred their business conducted over expensive wine and veal piccata. But today, he'd come to Aurelio's personally, not for a meeting, not for the food. He'd come because 3 weeks ago, his accountant had flagged unusual withdrawals from the restaurant's operating budget. Small amounts, $50 here, $100 there. Consistent enough to be noticed by someone who knew where to look. Dante didn't overlook anything. Marcus Delgado, the manager Dante had installed 18 months ago, was stealing from him. Not much, not enough to truly damage the bottom line. But theft was theft, and in Dante's world, that kind of disrespect demanded consequences. He'd been sitting in booth 7 for 2 hours, watching Marcus operate, watching him pocket cash from the register, watching him overcharge certain customers and skim the difference, watching him run Aurelio's like his personal kingdom, unaware that the real king was present. And then the girl had dropped the cup. Dante had watched her face crumble with terror, watched her drop to her knees like someone expecting execution, watched her beg with the desperation of someone who had no safety net, no backup plan, nothing but this job standing between her and catastrophe. He'd also watched Marcus enjoy her fear, watched the manager draw out her suffering, savoring the power he held over her, watched him make her grovel before granting mercy that should have been automatic for a simple accident. Interesting. Now, Sofia returned to the dining room, her smile brittle but determined. She moved through her section with renewed focus, every movement careful and deliberate. No more mistakes, no more chances lost. When she reached booth 7, she pulled out her order pad without really looking at the customer. Her mind was still spinning, calculating how many shifts she'd need to cover the week's expenses. "Hi, welcome to Aurelio's. Can I start you with something to drink?" "Coffee," the man said. His voice was quiet but carried weight, like distant thunder. "Black." "Of course. I'll be right back with that." Sofia started to turn away. "The cup you dropped," he continued, and something in his tone made her freeze. "Marcus told you it cost $70. Sofia's blood went cold. Heat flooded her face. This customer had witnessed her humiliation, had seen her on her knees begging. He was lying. I looked up sharply, finally seeing the man in booth 7. He was maybe 40, with dark hair silvered at the temples and eyes that seemed to measure everything they touched. His suit was expensive, she could tell that much, custom-tailored, the kind that cost more than she made in 6 months. He sat with the stillness of someone completely comfortable in his own power. I'm sorry?" Sofia managed. "The cups here cost $8 retail. Maybe 10 if Marcus is marking them up. He lied to you. Inflated the price to scare you. To make you more desperate." Sofia's throat tightened. "I don't think I should." "You should." He gestured to the seat across from him. "Sit." "I can't. I'm working. I'll lose my job if—" "Sit. Please." The word please surprised her. It was delivered like a command wrapped in courtesy, impossible to refuse. Sofia glanced around the restaurant. Marcus was nowhere in sight. The other servers were busy with their own sections. She slid into the booth across from this stranger, her heart pounding. "Who are you?" she asked. "Someone who's interested in your situation." He studied her face with unsettling intensity. "You have a sister, 8 years old. Luna, you said? And a grandmother with medical needs. How do you— I just told Marcus that." But suspicion crept up her spine. This man had been sitting here before her meeting with Marcus. Before she'd mentioned her family. "Were you listening?" "I was observing." He leaned forward slightly. "Tell me something, Sofia Martinez. Do you know who owns Aurelio's?" "Some company. I don't know. I just work here. Moretti Holdings, which means I own Aurelio's." He watched her face carefully. My name is Dante Moretti. The name meant nothing to her. She'd only been in Chicago for 3 months, having moved from Los Angeles after her mother died and left Sofia responsible for Abuela and Luna. She didn't know the city's power structures. You're my boss's boss, she said slowly. Something like that. So you're here to… what? Watch Marcus fire people? Make sure he's running things properly? I'm here because Marcus has been stealing from me. Small amounts, but consistently. I came to confirm my suspicions before dealing with the problem. Dante's expression remained neutral, but his voice carried an edge that made the hair on Sofia's arms stand up. What I didn't expect was to find him terrorizing employees and lying about broken china to establish control. Sofia's hands twisted in her lap. I don't want to get involved in whatever this is. I just need to keep my job. You will keep your job. That's not in question. How can you promise that? If Marcus finds out I talked to you, Marcus won't be a problem much longer. Dante signaled to someone Sofia hadn't noticed. A large man in a dark suit standing near the entrance. The man approached immediately, moving with economical grace. Bring Marcus to the wine cellar. Quietly. The man nodded once and disappeared toward the back offices. Sofia's stomach dropped. What are you going to do to him? That's not your concern. Dante stood, adjusting his cuffs with practiced precision. What should concern you is this. Marcus has been shorting your paychecks, skimming 20% off your tips, listing you for fewer hours than you actually worked. I'd estimate he's stolen about $400 from you in the 6 weeks you've been here. The number staggered her. $400. That was Abuela's medication with money left over. That was Luna's winter coat and new shoes. That was the difference between surviving and drowning. How do you know that? I make it my business to know everything that happens in my businesses. He pulled out a business card, set it on the table. Tomorrow you'll come to this address. 9 a.m. We'll discuss your continued employment and the compensation Marcus owes you. I work tomorrow. My shift starts at… You'll have the day off, paid. Dante looked at her with something that might have been curiosity or calculation or both. You have 2 choices, Sofia. You can keep working here. Keep letting men like Marcus exploit your desperation. Keep living one dropped coffee cup away from homelessness. Or you can come to my office tomorrow and discuss a different arrangement. What kind of arrangement? The kind where you're protected, where your family is taken care of, where you don't have to beg anyone for mercy ever again. He started walking toward the entrance, then paused, looking back. 9 a.m. Don't be late. He left before she could respond, disappearing through Aurelio's front doors with his bodyguard following silently behind. Sofia sat alone in booth 7, staring at the business card on the table. Moretti Holdings. An address in the financial district. A phone number embossed in gold. She tucked the card into her apron pocket and returned to work, moving through the afternoon in a daze. Marcus never came back from the wine cellar. Nobody mentioned his absence. The other servers whispered among themselves, shooting nervous glances toward the back hallway, but no one asked questions. In this city, Sofia was learning. Sometimes it was safer not to know the answers. That night, she rode 3 buses home to the South Side apartment she shared with Abuela and Luna. The building was old, with stairs that creaked and hallways that smelled like boiled cabbage and mildew. But it was home. It was shelter. It was all they had. Abuela was asleep in her chair, the television flickering blue light across her weathered face. Luna was at the kitchen table, bent over homework. Sofia. Luna jumped up, throwing her arms around her older sister. You're late. I was worried. I'm sorry, mija. Work was complicated. Did you bring food? Luna's voice was small, careful, already learning not to ask for too much. Sofia's heart cracked. She'd been so shaken by the day's events that she'd forgotten to stop at the dollar store. Tomorrow we'll have something good, I promise. After Luna fell asleep, Sofia sat at the kitchen table, staring at Dante Moretti's business card in the dim light. She knew better than to trust a man who owned restaurants and had people quietly disappear into wine cellars. She knew better than to believe in protection that came without a price. But $400 in stolen wages, a job that might not require her to beg and scrape and live in constant fear, a promise of something different. What choice did she have? Sofia set an alarm for 6 a.m. She'd need time to find something appropriate to wear, to get Luna to school, to explain to Abuela why she wasn't going to work. She didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Marcus's cruel smile, Dante's calculating gaze, the broken cup spreading across white marble. At 8:45 the next morning, Sofia stood outside a sleek glass building in Chicago's financial district, feeling completely out of place. She wore her nicest outfit, a black dress she'd bought at Goodwill for her mother's funeral. It was too thin for the October cold, but it was professional, respectable, the best she had. The building's lobby was all marble and chrome, with security guards in pristine uniforms and women in designer heels clicking across polished floors. Sofia approached the front desk, clutching her worn purse. "I'm here to see Mr. Moretti. I have a 9 o'clock appointment." The receptionist looked her up and down with barely concealed disdain. "Name?" "Sofia Martinez," the woman typed something, her expression shifting. "Surprise maybe, or wariness. 23rd floor. Someone will meet you at the elevator." The elevator was mirrored on all sides, forcing Sofia to see herself from every angle. She looked tired, underfed. Her dress was clean but obviously old. She looked exactly like what she was, a girl from the South Side who had no business in a building like this. The doors opened. On the 23rd floor, the large man from yesterday stood waiting. "Miss Martinez. This way, please." He led her down a corridor lined with abstract art past offices with glass walls where people in expensive suits talked on phones and reviewed documents. He stopped at a heavy wooden door at the end of the hall, knocked once. "Come in." Dante's voice carried through the wood. Dante's office was enormous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lake Michigan, the water gray and choppy under autumn clouds. The furniture was dark leather and polished wood. This was a room that spoke of old money, real power. Dante stood by the windows, his back to her, hands in his pockets. He wore another expensive suit, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. "You came," he said without turning around. "I wasn't certain you would. I need my job." Sofia stood just inside the door. "You need much more than that, Miss Martinez. But we'll get there." He turned to face her. "Please, sit." Sofia perched on the edge of a leather chair. Dante moved to his desk, pulling out a folder. "Your file." Marcus kept detailed records on all employees, mostly to track what he could steal without raising suspicion. He opened the folder. "As I said, he's been shorting your pay by approximately 20%. The total he owes you is $437. Sofia stared at the numbers, her hands clenching in her lap. "He also charged you for uniforms that should have been provided free. $65. And he's been pocketing half your credit card tips, another $200 over 6 weeks. Her throat tightened. She'd been struggling, going without meals, watching Luna wear 2 small shoes, all while Marcus stole from her with calculated precision. "Where is he?" she asked quietly. "Marcus has been reassigned. He won't be bothering you or anyone else at Aurelio's again." Dante's voice carried a finality that suggested reassigned meant something permanent. "The question now is what happens with you? You said I'd keep my job. I said you'd keep a job. Whether it's at Aurelio's or somewhere else in my organization is what we're here to discuss." He pulled out a check, slid it across the desk. It was made out to Sofia Martinez for $1,000. Her heart stopped. "I don't understand. 700 covers what Marcus stole from you. The other 300 is a signing bonus." "Signing bonus for what?" "For working directly for me. I need someone I can trust in positions where trust is rare. Someone who isn't already corrupted by proximity to my world. Someone desperate enough to be loyal but smart enough to be useful." He leaned back in his chair. "I'm offering you a position as my personal assistant. You'll manage certain aspects of my legitimate businesses, handle sensitive information, occasionally attend meetings as my representative. The salary is $80,000 a year, plus benefits. Health insurance for you and your family." $80,000. Sofia couldn't breathe. She made $19,000 at Aurelio's, barely surviving. This was impossible. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you have something most people in my world lack. Genuine desperation paired with genuine integrity. You could have stolen from Aurelio's to make ends meet. You didn't. You could have sold information about customers. You didn't. You just worked and worked, trying to survive honestly." Dante stood, moving to the window. "I've spent 20 years building an empire. Most people are loyal because I pay well or because they fear me. That kind of loyalty is transactional, breakable. I need people around me whose loyalty runs deeper. You barely know me. I know enough, and I'm an excellent judge of character, But I'm also not a fool. I won't trust you with everything immediately. You'll start small. Prove yourself over time. Sofia looked at the check. $1,000. A month's rent. Abuela's medication for 3 months. Luna's winter clothes with money left over. What's the catch? What aren't you telling me? The catch is that my world is dangerous. Working for me means people will notice you. Some won't be friendly. I'll provide protection, but I can't guarantee your safety completely. Are you in the mafia? The question hung in the air. Dante's expression didn't change. I'm a businessman. Some of my businesses operate in gray areas. I have associates who work in darker areas still. Whether that makes me mafia depends on who you ask. He moved back to his desk, sat down. But I won't lie to you, Sofia. Yes, there are aspects of my organization that exist outside the law. If you work for me, you'll be exposed to that reality eventually. Sofia thought of Luna's 2 small shoes. Abuela's medication. The eviction notice coming in a week. The life of constant fear she'd been living. What happens if I say no? You walk out with that check. No strings. I'll have someone else manage Aurelio's and ensure you're treated fairly. You go back to your life, and we never speak again. And if I say yes, then you start today. I'll have my driver take you home to pack what you need. You and your family will move into a secured apartment in Lincoln Park, rent-free, part of your compensation package. Tomorrow you begin learning what your new position entails. You'd move my family? Just like that? Your current apartment is in a building controlled by the Santos family. They're rivals of mine. I won't have someone in my employ living in their territory. He showed her photos on a tablet. A spacious apartment with actual sunlight and clean floors. 3 bedrooms, updated kitchen, 24-hour security. Sofia stared at the photos, at the life she couldn't afford, at the choice that felt like no choice at all. I need time to think. You have until I finish this coffee. Dante poured himself a cup. After that, the offer expires. Her hands trembled. Every rational part of her screamed, this was dangerous. But the exhausted part, the part so tired of struggling and failing, reached out and picked up the check. I'll do it. Dante nodded. Finish your coffee. Then we'll go over the basics. I don't have any coffee. He slid his cup across the desk. The gesture felt intimate, personal. Sofia hesitated, then took it, her fingers brushing against the expensive porcelain. She drank, and the coffee was perfect. 2 hours later, Sofia sat in the back of a black Mercedes, watching the city blur past tinted windows. Dante's driver, Vincent, navigated through traffic with practiced ease. Her phone buzzed with texts from an unknown number. Apartment address, 2,247 Newtons, Lincoln Ave, Unit 304. Keys waiting at front desk. Move-in can begin today. Furniture provided. DM your first official task. Take your sister shopping for winter clothes. Use the credit card being delivered to your address. No limit. Make sure she gets everything she needs. DM Sofia stared at the message. When was the last time someone had told her to make sure Luna got everything she needed? When was the last time no limit applied to anything? She texted back with shaking fingers. This is too much. His response came immediately. It's the beginning. Get used to it. At her apartment, Abuela looked up from her telenovelas as Sofia entered. Mija, you're home early. Did something happen? No, Abuela. Something good happened. Sofia sat down, took her grandmother's hands. We're moving. Today. To a better apartment. Abuela's eyes narrowed with suspicion. How? We can't afford to move. I got a new job, a better one. They're providing housing as part of my compensation. What kind of job provides housing? What have you done? I'm working as a personal assistant for a businessman. It's legitimate, Abuela. What businessman? Sofia hesitated. His name is Dante Moretti. The color drained from Abuela's face. No, absolutely not. I may be old, but I'm not stupid. I know that name. Everyone in this city knows that name. It's a good opportunity. We'll be safe. We'll have health insurance. Luna can go to a better school. And what will you have to do for this man? What will he ask when the bills come due? Abuela, men like that don't give without taking. Your mother, God rest her soul, she would never forgive me if I let you. Mama is dead. She's dead, and she left us with nothing but debt and responsibilities. I'm 24 years old. I have an 8-year-old sister and a grandmother with medical bills we can't pay. And I'm doing the best I can. This is our chance to actually survive. Abuela was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached up, cupping Sofia's face. I know how hard you work, mija. I know what you sacrifice. But some prices are too high. Let me worry about the price. Luna appeared in the doorway, hair a mess, wearing pajamas getting too short. Are we really moving? Sofia opened her arms. Yes, mija. To a place with your own bedroom and heat that actually works. The new apartment was everything promised and more. Hardwood floors caught afternoon sunlight. The kitchen had appliances that worked. The bathroom had water pressure and tiles that weren't cracked. Luna's new bedroom was bigger than the one she'd shared with Sofia, with a window overlooking a small park. It's like a castle, Luna whispered, running her hands along the walls. Abuela said nothing, examining everything with careful suspicion. A delivery arrived with 3 large boxes. Inside the envelope was a credit card with Sofia's name embossed in silver, a smartphone, and a note. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Office. Business attire required. A stylist will meet you downstairs at 6 a.m. to help you shop for appropriate clothing. Use the card. DM. That night, Sofia lay in her new bed, staring at the ceiling and trying to process the last 24 hours. Her phone buzzed. Sleep well. Tomorrow your real education begins. DM Sofia closed her eyes, and she dreamed of coffee cups shattering, of men with dark eyes who made promises, of Luna with new shoes and Abuela taking medication without worry. She dreamed of safety that felt like a cage, and freedom that felt like falling. The stylist, Claudia, arrived at exactly 6 a.m., with sharp eyes and sharper opinions. We're starting from scratch. Mr. Moretti wants you to look like you belong in his office. They spent 2 hours on Michigan Avenue. Claudia selected suits and dresses, shoes and accessories, each piece chosen with precision. Mr. Moretti prefers classic style, conservative but not dated. You're representing him now. Everything you wear reflects on his organization. By the time they finished, Sofia had 5 new suits, 3 dresses, appropriate shoes, a leather bag that cost more than a month's rent at her old apartment. She looked professional, polished. She felt like a fraud. At 7:45, Vincent picked her up. She wore one of the new suits, charcoal gray with a white blouse. Her hair was styled, makeup applied by Claudia's expert hand. She looked like someone who belonged in Dante Moretti's world. The office was different in early morning. Quieter. Dante looked up from his desk, and something flickered across his face. Approval, maybe. Good. You clean up well. He gestured to a chair. Coffee? Please. He poured, and Sofia noted that he remembered she took it black. Your first real day. We'll start with the basics. My schedule, which you'll manage. My communications, which you'll filter. My meetings, which you'll sometimes attend. He slid a tablet across the desk. This contains everything you need to know about my legitimate businesses. Study it. I'll quiz you tomorrow. Sofia scrolled through dozens of companies. Restaurants, construction firms, real estate holdings, import-export businesses. Each one a piece of an empire she was only beginning to comprehend. The illegitimate businesses? Those, you'll learn about gradually. Trust is earned, not given. For now, focus on what's above board. When do I meet the rest of your staff? You don't. Not yet. My previous assistant was killed 3 months ago. Car accident that wasn't an accident. Someone wanted to send me a message. Sofia's blood went cold. You didn't mention that detail yesterday. Would you have accepted if I had? No, exactly. He leaned forward. But you're not my previous assistant. Her name was published in business journals. Her photo appeared at charity events. You'll be different. Shadow personnel. No public profile. Nobody will know you exist until it's too late. Why take the risk at all? Because I need someone I can trust in my immediate circle. Someone who isn't already compromised. Someone whose loyalty I can cultivate from the ground up. His gaze held hers. You're clean, Sofia. No criminal record. No family ties to organized crime. No debt to rival families. You're a blank slate. That makes you valuable. Or it makes me naive and easily manipulated. That too. But I don't think you're as naive as you pretend. You grew up in East LA. You know how the world works. You've just been trying to stay outside of it. He was right. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Sofia had spent her childhood watching her mother work 3 jobs and still struggle. Had watched neighbors disappear into gang violence. had seen what happened to people who made deals with dangerous men. She'd spent years trying to build a different life, and now here she was. A knock interrupted them. A man in his 50s with silver hair and cold eyes entered, looking at Sofia with undisguised curiosity. "You wanted to see me, boss?" "Sofia, this is Anthony Russo, my oldest friend and head of security. Tony, this is Sofia Martinez, my new assistant. I want full protection detail assigned to her and her family. 24-hour surveillance on their apartment. Background checks on anyone who comes within 10 feet of her sister's school. That's expensive. A lot of resources for an untested employee. I didn't ask for. Your opinion on resource allocation?" Tony's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Consider it done. Miss Martinez, I'll need details about your daily routine, your family's schedules." "Why?" Sofia asked. "Because if someone wants to hurt the boss, hurting you would be an effective strategy. We need to know where you are at all times." The reality settled over her. This wasn't just a job. This was entry into a world where she'd become a target simply by proximity to Dante. "I want my family protected," she said firmly. "Especially my sister. She's 8. She's innocent. Nobody chooses their family's problems," Tony said, not unkindly. "But they deal with them anyway. We'll keep her safe." After Tony left, Sofia looked at Dante. "You should have told me all of this before I accepted." "Would you have still accepted?" "I don't know." "Exactly. So I made the decision for you. How do I know you won't become the danger?" Dante was quiet for a long moment. "You don't. You're taking a leap of faith. That's what trust is. A risk you take because the alternative is worse. And if I want out, then you tell me, and we figure out an exit strategy. But I'll be honest. Once you're inside my world, even leaving has complications. People will still see you as connected to me. So I'm trapped. You're protected. There's a difference. Then teach me. If I'm going to survive in your world, teach me how." That's exactly what I intend to do. The first 3 weeks were a crash course in Dante's empire. Sofia learned the names of his associates, the hierarchy of his organization, which businesses were fronts and which were legitimate. She attended meetings where men spoke in coded language about shipments and territory and disagreements that needed resolving. She learned to take notes without reacting, even when the implications made her stomach turn. She learned which questions to ask and which to never voice. She learned that Dante's world operated on respect and fear in equal measure. She also learned that Dante was nothing like Marcus. Where Marcus had been cruel for cruelty's sake, Dante was precise, strategic. He could be ruthless, but never wasteful. He commanded loyalty through competence and calculated generosity. And slowly, carefully, Sofia began to understand why people followed him. Luna adjusted to her new school with the resilience of children. She made friends, brought home artwork, talked excitedly about her teacher in the library. Small luxuries that broke Sofia's heart because they'd been impossible before. Abuela remained suspicious, watching everything with wary eyes, asking pointed questions about Sofia's long hours and the men in dark suits who were always somewhere nearby. "You're in too deep, Mija," she said one evening. "You can't see it yet, but you're drowning." "I'm surviving, Abuela. We're all surviving. Isn't that what matters?" Surviving isn't the same as living. But Sofia was too tired to argue. She fell into bed each night and dreamed of meetings and conversations, and Dante's dark eyes watching her, measuring her, testing her. On a Tuesday afternoon in her 4th week, everything changed. Sofia was in Dante's office, reviewing contracts, when Tony burst in without knocking. His face was tight with controlled panic. "Boss, we have a problem. The Castillos just hit one of our warehouses on the south side. 3 of our guys are dead. They left a message." Dante's expression didn't change, but Sofia felt the temperature drop. "What message?" Tony glanced at Sofia, hesitation clear. "Say it," Dante ordered. "They know about the girl. They said if you want her to see her sister grow up, you'll withdraw from the dockyard territory." Sofia's heart stopped. The girl. They were talking about her. How did they find out? Dante's voice was ice. "We're investigating. Someone talked. Someone close. Find them. And double security on Sofia's family. Nobody gets within a block of that apartment or the school. Already done. But boss, maybe we should consider..." "Consider what? Giving up territory because they made a threat? That's not how this works." Dante turned to Sofia. "And she understood the risks, didn't you? Sofia's mouth was dry. You said the danger was manageable. It is. But manageable doesn't mean non-existent. They threatened my sister. My 8-year-old sister who has nothing to do with any of this. Which is why Tony's already secured her. Your family is protected, Sofia. But this doesn't change the situation. The Castillos are testing me, seeing if threatening civilians will make me weak. If I back down now, every rival family will use the same tactic. So my sister's life is worth less than your reputation? Your sister's life is worth everything, which is why I have 8 men watching her school and 6 more watching your apartment building. But I won't be manipulated by threats. Sofia stood, her hands shaking. This is exactly what Abuela warned me about. I thought I was helping my family. But I've made them targets. They were always targets, living in Santos territory, barely surviving. The only difference now is that they have protection. Dante's voice was steady, implacable. Yes, you're connected to me, and that comes with dangers. But it also comes with resources, with power, with the ability to actually keep them safe. Unless something bad happens because of you. Unless that, yes. His honesty was almost worse than a lie. Sofia felt tears burning, but she refused to let them fall. What do you need me to do? I need you to trust that I'll handle this. And I need you to understand that this is what my world looks like. It's not pretty. It's not safe. But it's real, and you're part of it now. I want to see Luna. Vincent will take you to the school. You can see her through the security detail, but you won't approach her directly. I don't want the Castillos knowing how much she means to you. They already know. That's why they made the threat. They suspect. Confirmation is different. He moved closer. Sofia, I know you're scared. You should be. But fear can be useful if you let it make you smart instead of reckless. Vincent drove Sofia to Luna's school, a converted brownstone in a tree-lined neighborhood. She watched from the car as children poured out for recess. Luna appeared with 2 other girls, running toward the playground. She looked happy, safe. Completely unaware that 6 men in various positions were watching her every move. She doesn't know, Vincent said quietly. Kids that age, they don't see the protection. They just see normal. That's good, right? It's good until it's not. Until something happens that makes her realize the world isn't as safe as she thought. He glanced at Sofia in the rearview mirror. The boss is trying to prevent that. Sofia watched Luna swing on the monkey bars, her laughter carrying across the playground, and she wondered what price her sister would eventually pay for Sofia's choices. That night, Dante called Sofia into his office at 11 p.m. She'd been about to leave, exhausted from a day of heightened tension. The building was mostly empty now, just security personnel and the cleaning crew. Sit, Dante said. He looked tired, she realized. The careful control had cracked slightly, showing the weight he carried. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, slid one across to her. Drink. Sofia didn't argue. The whiskey burned going down, but it settled something jangled inside her. The Castillo's informant. We found him. One of my drivers, Marco. You met him once, Sofia remembered. A young guy, maybe 30, with an easy smile. What will happen to him? He's being dealt with. That means you're going to kill him. That means he betrayed my organization, put you and your family at risk for money, and won't have the opportunity to do it again. Dante's voice was flat. This is what justice looks like in my world. Clean. Final. No courts. No appeals. Just consequences. And you're okay with that? I'm not okay with anything. But I'm responsible for hundreds of people. Their safety. Their livelihoods. Their families. Marco chose money over loyalty, and now 3 of my men are dead because of information he sold. How many more should die before I act? Sofia had no answer. The moral calculations of Dante's world didn't work on the principles she'd been raised with. I don't know if I can do this. Live in a world where this is normal. Normal is relative. Dante finished his whiskey. But I understand if you want out. We can arrange protection for your family, relocation assistance, a generous severance. And I'd never be truly safe. You said that yourself. True. But complications are manageable with the right resources. Sofia looked at him across the desk. This man who'd become the center of her new reality. She barely knew him. Barely understood what drove him. But he'd kept his word so far. Had protected her family, provided security, given her a life she couldn't have built on her own. I'm staying. But I need to understand something. You said you saw someone worth protecting when I begged Marcus for my job. Why? What did you see? Dante was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight she hadn't heard before. I saw my sister, 20 years ago, before I built all this. She worked as a waitress too, struggled the same way you do. And when she needed help, when she was desperate, I wasn't in a position to save her. What happened to her? She died owing money to the wrong people. They made an example of her because I was starting to make moves in the organization, starting to threaten established power. They wanted to remind me where I came from. His jaw tightened. Instead, it taught me that power is the only real protection. That the only way to keep people safe is to be dangerous enough that hurting them has consequences. Sofia's throat tightened. So you remind me of who she could have been if someone had helped instead of exploited her. And maybe that's selfish of me. Maybe I'm trying to rewrite history through you. But it doesn't change the fact that I meant what I said. You're worth protecting. What was her name? Lucia. She was 26 when she died. Kind, smart, full of dreams she'd never have the chance to realize. He stood, moving to the window that overlooked the city. Every time I look at this empire, I think about how she never got to see it, never got to benefit from it. All this power, and I couldn't save the one person who mattered most. Sofia joined him at the window. The city spread below them, millions of lights representing millions of lives, each one carrying their own struggles. You're not saving her through me, Sofia said. You're saving me, and Luna, and Abuela. We're not substitutes for what you lost. I know that, but his voice suggested he was still learning it. They stood in silence, and Sofia felt something shift between them. Not just attraction, though she'd noticed how Dante looked in his suits, how his hands moved with deliberate grace. But this was deeper. Recognition that they both carried wounds, both survived by building walls, and both were beginning to let those walls crack in each other's presence. The Castillos. What happens now? Now I send a message that threatening civilians under my protection has consequences. His voice was almost a whisper. This is the reality, Sofia. Constant vigilance, constant positioning, constant reminders of why people fear you. It's exhausting and necessary, and the price of keeping people safe. How do you live like this without breaking? Who says I don't break? I just break in private, where no one can see it and use it against me. Sofia understood that. She'd been breaking in private for months, crying in the shower where Luna couldn't hear. Everyone broke. The question was whether you let it destroy you. Get you for telling me about Lucia. For trusting me with that. Don't thank me yet. Knowing my vulnerabilities makes you a target in different ways. Information is currency, and you're collecting quite a bit of it. I won't betray you. I know. She would remember everything about this moment. Standing at Dante's window, watching the city sleep, while they both stayed awake carrying weight and loss, and the fragile trust building between them. Vincent drove her home at midnight. The apartment was quiet when she entered. Abuela asleep, Luna tucked safely in bed. Sofia stood in Luna's doorway, watching her sister's chest rise and fall with easy breathing, completely unaware of the threats and protection swirling around her. She'd keep it that way as long as possible. Sofia's phone buzzed. Sleep well. Tomorrow we begin teaching you how to actually protect yourself. Not with men and guns, but with knowledge and strategy. You'll need both. DM. She texted back. Thank you. For today. For everything. His response came after a pause. Don't thank me. Just trust me. And despite everything, despite the danger and the moral compromises and the world she'd entered, Sofia realized she was beginning to. The next 6 weeks blurred together. Sofia learned to read subtle signals in meetings, power dynamics in every room, who could be trusted and who was always calculating. She learned the geography of Chicago's underworld, which neighborhoods belonged to which families, where territory lines blurred. Dante taught her himself, spending hours explaining the intricacies with the patience of a professor. He never condescended, never treated her as naive. He simply laid out reality and trusted her to grasp it. And she did, faster than either expected. You have good instincts, Dante said one evening after she correctly predicted which of his associates would try to undermine a proposed partnership. Better than people who've been in this world their entire lives. Maybe it's because I'm not invested in all the history and grudges. That'll change. The longer you're here, the more invested you become. He was right. Already Sofia felt herself changing. Becoming harder in some ways, more cynical, but also becoming stronger, more confident in her ability to navigate dangerous waters. Luna thrived. Abuela's health improved. The constant fear that had defined their lives was replaced by something more complex: security with invisible strings, but security nonetheless. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the dynamic between Sofia and Dante shifted. It started small. Coffee in the morning becoming a ritual, their hands brushing as cups exchanged. Meetings running late into the evening, conversations drifting from business to personal territory neither acknowledged crossing. The way Dante's eyes tracked her across rooms, protective and possessive. The way Sofia found herself dressing each morning with awareness of his approval. They didn't talk about it, but it was there, humming beneath every interaction, building with each shared confidence. Tony noticed. "You're playing with fire, Miss Martinez. I'm doing my job. Your job doesn't require you to look at the boss like that. And it definitely doesn't require him to look at you the way he does. Like you're something he's trying very hard not to want, and failing." Tony's expression was concerned. Getting close to him complicates everything. Everything's already complicated. Not like this. Professional complications can be managed. Personal ones destroy people. Sofia knew he was right, but knowing and stopping were different things, and she wasn't sure she wanted to stop. The crisis came on a Wednesday night in late November. Sofia was working late when Dante's phone rang. She watched his face change as he listened, controlled calm shifting to barely restrained fury. "When? How many?" A pause. "I'm on my way. Lockdown protocol for all family members. Now." He hung up, already moving toward the door. "Come with me." "What happened?" "The Russians just hit 3 of my operations simultaneously. This isn't random territory disputes. This is war." They took his armored car, Vincent driving while Tony coordinated responses through an earpiece. Sofia sat beside Dante, feeling tension radiating from him. "Why the Russians?" "Because someone's forming alliances. Someone who knows my operations well enough to hit 3 targets at once." His jaw tightened. "Someone in my inner circle." "You think I'm involved?" she said quietly. "No, you haven't been here long enough. But others will suspect you." His hand found hers in the darkness. "And you trust that I'll figure out who's really responsible before they can use you as a scapegoat." They spent the night coordinating responses, shoring up security, assessing damage. By dawn, the picture was clear. This was orchestrated, professional, expensive. Someone had invested serious resources in hurting Dante, and somewhere in his ranks, someone was helping them do it. The sun rose over Chicago, painting the sky in shades of amber and red that felt ominous. Sofia hadn't slept, neither had Dante. They sat in his office, surrounded by reports and surveillance footage. "Here," Sofia said, pointing to a timeline she'd constructed. All 3 hits happened within a 15-minute window. That means the Russians had precise information about security rotations, shift changes, when each location would be most vulnerable. Dante studied her work. That information only exists in 3 places: my head, Tony's secured files, and the weekly security briefings you started attending 6 weeks ago. Which means anyone at those meetings could be responsible. Or anyone with access to someone at those meetings. Tony burst. "Boss, we have a situation. Someone just tried to grab the girl from school. They failed. Our guys intercepted them, but this was coordinated." "Professional." Sofia was on her feet. "Luna, is she okay?" "She's fine. Scared but unharmed. We've got her in a secure location with your grandmother." Dante's expression went cold in a way Sofia had never seen. "Lethal. Final." "Who tried to take her?" "Russians. 3 men. All now in our custody." "Good. Sofia, you're coming with me. You need to see what happens to people who threaten your family." The warehouse was concrete floors and harsh fluorescent lights. 3 men tied to chairs, blood already staining their faces. Dante's men stood around them like executioners. Sofia fought the urge to vomit. Dante walked into the center like a king. "Gentlemen, you made a mistake today. You went after a child. An 8-year-old girl whose only crime was having a sister who works for me. Now, I'm a reasonable man. I understand that in our line of work, collateral damage happens. But there are rules. Children are one of those lines. One of the Russians spat blood. We were following orders. You want someone to blame? Talk to Volkov." "Oh, I will. But first, I need to send Volkov a message, and you 3 are going to deliver it." What happened next happened fast. Dante moved with brutal efficiency. Sofia looked away, but she couldn't unhear the sounds, the screams, the pleading that turned to silence. When it was over, Dante stood in front of her, blood on his cuffs, his expression calm. "This is who I am, Sofia. This is what I do to protect what's mine. Are you still sure you want to be part of this world?" Sofia looked past him at the three bodies. At the casual way his men were already preparing to dispose of them. "They tried to take my sister," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "They tried to hurt an innocent child to get to you, to get to me, so no, I don't feel sorry for them." "Does that make me a monster too?" "It makes you a survivor." Dante touched her face gently, his fingers still warm from violence. "And it makes you mine to protect. No one touches your family again. I promise you that." The possessiveness should have frightened her. But instead, she felt something else. Safety. Security. The knowledge that Dante Moretti's protection was absolute. What happens now? "Now I pay a visit to Volkov, and you stay in my penthouse under guard until this is resolved. My family, already there. Tony moved them an hour ago." The penthouse was stunning. 20 floors above his office, with floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist furniture, Abuela and Luna were in the guest suite, looking small and frightened. "Sofia." Luna ran to her, clinging tight. "Those men came to my school. They tried to take me, but Mr. Vincent stopped them, and I don't understand what's happening." Sofia held her sister, meeting Abuela's knowing gaze. Her grandmother had been right about all of it. "It's okay, mija. You're safe now. Mr. Moretti is making sure nothing bad happens to any of us." "Who is he? Really? Why do bad men want to hurt us because of him?" "He's someone powerful, someone who helps people but also has enemies, and because I work for him, we're protected by him. But that also means his enemies might try to hurt us to hurt him." "That's not fair. We didn't do anything wrong." "No, baby, we didn't. But the world isn't always fair." That night, after Luna finally fell asleep, Sofia found Dante on the penthouse balcony. The city stretched below them, beautiful and dangerous. She asked who you are. I didn't know how to answer. What did you tell her? The truth. That you're powerful and have enemies, and that working for you comes with protection and danger both. And what do you think? Now that you've seen what I'm capable of, now that your family's been targeted, do you regret accepting my offer? Sofia thought about Marcus, about the constant fear, about Abuela going without medication and Luna wearing 2 small shoes. "I regret that Luna was scared, but I don't regret everything else. You kept your word. You said you'd protect us, and you did. Those men didn't take my sister. This time. But what about next time? Then I guess we make sure you're powerful enough that people stop trying." She looked at him. "Or you let me go, and we never see each other again. Is that what you want?" The question hung between them, loaded with everything they hadn't said. All the tension that had been building. All the moments when their hands touched too long or their eyes held too intensely. "No," Sofia admitted. "It's not what I want." "What do you want, Sofia?" She turned to face him fully. "I want to stop pretending this is just a job. I want to stop pretending I don't think about you constantly. I want to stop being afraid of what this is becoming between us. Do you know what you're saying? What it means to be with someone like me? I've lived it for 3 months. I've seen your world, seen what you're capable of, and I'm still standing here telling you I want this." Dante's hand came up to cup her face. "I've been trying to keep distance between us, trying to be professional, to protect you from this complication. But you're right, we stopped being just employer and employee weeks ago. So what are we? Dangerous to each other. Dangerous for each other, but also something I can't seem to walk away from." His voice dropped. "You're supposed to be my assistant, but somewhere along the way, you became something else." "What?" "Mine, and I protect what's mine with everything I have." He kissed her then, and it wasn't gentle. It was claiming, possessive, weeks of denial finally breaking free. Sofia kissed him back with equal intensity, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. When they finally broke apart, Dante pressed his forehead to hers. "This changes everything. Makes you an even bigger target. Then we make sure they can't hurt me. Can you live with letting me go?" "No, I can't. Not anymore." They stood on the balcony as the city glittered below. 2 people from different worlds who'd found something worth fighting for. And Sofia knew. There was no going back. She'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. But for the first time since her mother died, she didn't feel alone. She felt powerful, protected. part of something bigger than her individual survival, even if that something was dangerous. The next morning, Dante looked grim. Volkov's response. He's escalating. Hit 2 more operations overnight, killed 5 of my men. He's declaring open war. What are you going to do? End this, permanently. He turned to her. Volkov has a son, Dmitri. There's an art gallery opening tonight. He'll be there. I need someone who can get close. Observe his security, identify vulnerabilities. You want me to spy on him. I want you to attend an gallery opening and notice who's protecting Volkov's son. Nothing dangerous. Just observation. Sofia thought about Luna's terrified face. I'll do it. Because no one threatens my sister and gets away with it. The Blackwell Gallery opening was elegant. Sofia wore an emerald dress, her appearance carefully crafted to blend in. She spotted Dmitri immediately. Late 20s, handsome in a cruel way, arrogant. 3 bodyguards surrounded him, positioning themselves strategically. Sofia circled, memorizing faces, positions, patterns. Dmitri liked to separate from his guards when examining art. She was studying a painting when a voice spoke beside her. Awful, isn't it? Dmitri himself stood next to her, predatory. I think it's supposed to represent chaos, Sofia said carefully. Or it represents the fact that rich people will buy anything. He extended his hand. Dmitri Volkov. She shook briefly, skin crawling. Sofia Martinez. What brings you here? My employer suggested I attend. This employer, does he have a name? Danger prickled. She couldn't give Dante's name. He prefers to remain private. How mysterious. Dmitri moved closer. Give my regards to Dante Moretti. Tell him his taste in assistance has improved significantly. Ice flooded Sofia's veins. He knew. She walked toward Vincent with measured steps. Outside, Vincent was on his phone. She's compromised. They made her. When they reached the penthouse, Dante pulled her close, checking for injuries. He knew. Dmitri knew exactly who I was. Tony appeared. We've got a bigger problem. The informant isn't just selling information about operations. They're selling information about Sofia, specifically. Who? Dante's voice was lethal. Someone with access to your personal security briefings. Pull all personnel files. I want backgrounds rechecked. Dante turned to Sofia. If they're specifically targeting you, we end this tonight. We hit Volkov directly. That's suicide, Tony protested. I don't care. He crossed a line when he targeted Luna. This ends tonight. Tony looked between them. This isn't about strategy. This is personal. This has always been personal. I protect what's mine, and she's mine. The plan was insane, but Dante assembled his men and laid out an attack that would either end the war or end them. You're staying here, he told Sofia, behind walls I control, and if you don't come back, then Tony has instructions to relocate you and your family. I don't want a new life. I want you to come back. I can't promise that, but I can promise that if I don't, Volkov won't either. He kissed her, hard and desperate. I love you. I wasn't looking for it, didn't want the complication, but I love you anyway, and that means I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe. Before Sofia could respond, he was gone. Hours passed like years. Tony's updates came in terse bursts. Approaching target. Resistance heavier than expected. Boss is advancing. At 3 mm. Tony finally called. It's over. We got Volkov. His operation is scattered, and the boss is alive. Coming back now. When the elevator opened, Dante stepped out looking like he'd walked through hell. Blood on his suit, cuts on his face, but alive. Sofia ran to him, wrapping her arms around him, feeling his heart beating. I'm here. It's over. You're safe. You said you loved me. I meant it. I love you too. I love you, and it terrifies me, and I don't care. I choose this. I choose you. Dante kissed her again, gentler this time, and Sofia knew her life had irrevocably changed. The next morning, Chicago woke to news of Volkov's death. The war was over. 2 weeks later, Tony brought a man into a conference room. Sofia recognized him. Robert Chen, one of Dante's senior accountants. Robert? They had my daughter. Volkov's people took her 3 months ago. Said they'd kill her if I didn't provide information. I was just trying to save my child. Where is your daughter now? They gave her back after Volkov died. Dante looked at Robert. What would you do if someone threatened her again? Whatever it took. I'd betray anyone to protect my child. Dante nodded. I understand that. Take your daughter and leave Chicago. I'm giving you 48 hours to disappear. New city, new identity, you never come back. But if I ever discover you've talked, what I did to Volkov will look gentle. Thank you. Thank you so much. After Robert left, Sofia looked at Dante. That was mercy. It was weakness, some would say. It sends the message that you understand the difference between betrayal for profit and betrayal for love. That you're more than what this world demands you be. Is that why you love me? I love you because of who you are. The violence, the control, that's all real. But so is the man who remembered I take my coffee black, who told me about Lucia, who lets a traitor live because he understands a father's desperation. You're complicated, Dante Moretti. And I love every complicated part of you. He pulled her close. Then I guess you're stuck with me. Stuck isn't so bad when you choose it. 6 months later, Sofia sat in her office reviewing contracts. She'd proven herself. Luna was thriving. Abuela had stopped questioning. A knock interrupted. Her. Dante stood in the doorway. Busy? For you? Never. He crossed to her, pulling her into his arms. Marry me. Sofia's breath caught. What? Marry me. Make it official. Not because you work for me, but because I love you, and I want to spend whatever time we have making sure you never regret choosing this life. Sofia thought about the girl who dropped a coffee cup and begged for her job. About how far she'd come. Yes, I'll marry you. I choose you. I choose all of this. Permanently. Dante kissed her, and it felt like a promise. Like the beginning of something that would be complicated and dangerous, and absolutely worth every risk. The wedding was small. Luna served as flower girl. Abuela cried. Tony stood as best man. When they were pronounced married, when Dante kissed her as his wife, Sofia felt the final piece click into place. I love you, Mrs. Moretti. I love you too. Thank you for not firing me that day. He laughed. Thank you for begging me not to. Best decision I never made. They danced while Luna watched and Abuela smiled. And Sofia knew this wouldn't be easy. That marrying Dante meant accepting a lifetime of complications. But it also meant never being alone again. Never struggling without support. Never watching her family suffer. It meant power and protection and partnership with a man who'd kill for her without hesitation and love her with the same absolute intensity. And that was worth everything she'd sacrificed to get here. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.